Well, sometimes that is a good first step because you're learning the tools, you're learning some techniques, you're gaining some confidence. In other words, there isn't anything wrong. It's like Esther getting ready to receive us and receiving us by receiving the impulse of thought and typing it. And it helped that she was already typing 120 words a minute before she started receiving us, rather than having to learn how to type at the same time that she was receiving. It would have been a little bit awkward. And so there is some advantage to becoming familiar with your tools. But then you reach a place where, as you are reaching for, you want to get tapped in with that energy stream or that alignment. We like to call it alignment. Now, before you go further, it's interesting that you wove this into the idea of a musician, too. Jerry and Esther happened to catch a piece of a Charlie Rose interview the other evening, where he was interviewing one of the people who was in the musical group Fish that is just decided no longer to be together. And as Jerry and Esther listened to this man who was describing what it was like for him, Esther said, "It's what it's like for me when I receive Abraham." She could hear in his words as he described this moment in time where you can feel that you're being moved by something that's coming from within you. And he said, if you're really, really lucky, the other members of your group are tapped into the same thing, and you're all moving in rhythm with one another, as if there is one mind that is moving you all. And he talked about the moments in time when that happened and how moving it was to the audience. And then he went on to explain, and Esther could really feel between his words that what he was getting at is the commercial nature of his life now has taken that away from him, and that is what he was always reaching for. So now we want to get back to the specifics of your question and say to you that it is through trial and error that you find that place. Just like we're talking about reaching for the words until you feel relief, when you have the canvas before you and you have a reasonable sense of what you're wanting to accomplish and you're flowing with what's coming through you, if you will keep in the forefront of your mind, I'm wanting to relax into the rhythm that is coming forth from within, you'll recognize it when you reach it. And sometimes you might do a lot of painting for only a moment of that feeling. But when you find that feeling, you'll recognize that that's the feeling that you're reaching for. Artists, musicians, lyricists, all kinds of people that are creative in nature. And of course, everything is creative, but we're talking about those words creative where they've assigned that to themselves in some way. They understand often more easily than many other people what we're talking about here, about feeling yourself clicking into that place where you can feel a broader part of you flowing. And so the work really is the work that you do in order to get to that place before you even pick up the brush. The real work is getting into alignment, because once you're in alignment, then the broader part of you is going to perform the action for you. So many artists and authors will say, I struggled for months over this, and it came in a matter of seconds or minutes, because it took them a while to get themselves into the place, but when they got into the place, then it began to flow. So our strong desire for you is that you not be upset with yourself when you're not in the place, but that your work be, or the mindset be, I'm in the process of getting into the place and I'm happy in the place that I'm in, rather than, oh, I'm not in the place, therefore it isn't flowing. And we have to tell you that 99% of what's out there in terms of creation that's being sold was created from people who weren't in the place. But that doesn't mean they weren't having fun in the process, and it doesn't mean that what they created wasn't vibrationally compatible with somebody else who was near a similar place. Someone isn't vibrationally in sync with who they really are, but they're having a good time and they paint something pretty good anyway, and other people resonate with it. Well, the reason different things resonate to different people is because the artist has imbued whatever she has created with the vibration from which she created it, and then the people walking through the galleries who are vibrationally similar in nature are drawn to those. In other words, the literal color that you choose, the way that you swirl your color, all of this is vibrational interpretation. And so other people who are now looking through the gallery, who are in those different places, are drawn depending upon what their vibration in the moment is too. And so Here is the most essential thing for you to hear. We spoke it briefly just a moment ago, but we really want you to hear it. There are two things that you're wanting to consider as you are creating this. Am I creating for the joy of using it as my forum through which I find my alignment and express it?
Right.
Or am I wanting to create something nice that others will like?
No.
So as it is the process through which I discover and demonstrate my alignment, that's the best way to create anything, because then the audience will find you. There are so many people who want to send out feelers to find out what the audience wants. And then they want to contour their work to match what most people are buying. And that's perfectly fine. But it is ever so much more rewarding to find your groove through trial and error. And then practice yourself into that alignment. And then let your creations stand on their own and trust that law of attraction will bring the admirers, if that is your interest, to them.